Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Two Idiots Reading Comics. This week is episode 66, DC The New Frontier, Volume 1. We're going to do it a little differently this month. We'll get more into that when we get to the comic itself with Talmadge. But as always, go check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Go like our page, subscribe to the page on YouTube, share, all that fun stuff. Tell your family and friends. And like always, let's get into it.
And welcome to the best damn book club on the internet. My name's Ryan Talmadge. That's Davis Crocker. This is Two Idiots Reading Comics. And today, Davis,
Yes.
like you said in the intro, we are changing things up a little bit.
Different. A little bit different this month.
So there's been a lot of stuff we've been wanting to read that is either just like one, like comes as one graphic novel, but it's like 12 issues, or there's just like a part 1, part 2, and it can't put it on the continuous. And so instead of like forcing ourselves into the schedule that we always do, we said, why not do some like part 1s, part 2s?
Yeah.
I think we originally said last time we recorded that we were going to do Avengers versus X-Men, but then we just didn't do that.
Yeah, we just didn't do that this month.
So that'll probably be next month, which will be November.
Yes.
But yeah, so this week is DC's The New Frontier, Part
Volume
1.
1, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to go ahead and credit somebody? I've left my iPad on the other side of the room.
Yep. So, all right. So the writer and illustrator is Darwin Cook, colorist Dave Stewart, and letterer Jared K. Fletcher. So, good, simple, easy, and only 3 people for a DC comic.
Yeah. First thought about this is when, obviously we all know the MCU, and then they try to kind of almost reverse engineer a DCEU. We're gonna introduce Wonder Woman, Batman, and then the Superman we already had from Man of Steel, and Batman v Superman, and then we're gonna use the Justice League to introduce the rest of the Justice League.
Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman. And that was it for the new DC movie.
And
how you leave out Martian, Manhunter, and Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any fucking sense.
But basically, they tried to do in 2 movies what Marvel had done in like 10 already.
Right. And again, like Marvel did it. I mean, they succeeded, so I would imagine. So I'm just going with theirs was the better way of.
Yeah.
You introduced a character at a time, and then all of a sudden go, all right, all these characters are loved. We did good in the movies. We can bring them together. Yeah. Not, all right, we've got to come up with this big, grandiose movie quick.
Yeah.
And then we can break it out. And again, the DCEU, which I'm sure we've talked about here before, is a flaming train wreck.
Yeah, it just
Minus
seems like
3 movies. It's a flaming train wreck.
It seems like they're just throwing stuff out and hoping that people like it.
Yeah.
But
which they're already talking about having a reboot in with the new Flash movie that's come out. They're already
had like 10 directors.
Yeah, they're already wanting to change, and they haven't even gotten started.
But when I was reading this, my whole thinking was like, you could have done it. You could have reverse engineered it. That's what this whole this whole story was like. You could have done, and probably would have had to do Zack Snyder's 4-hour epic.
Of course. Or you make a 2-part movie.
Yeah.
I don't get why,
like you could have done this and it would have perfectly reverse engineered an entire universe.
Yeah. And you start there and then you could break it out from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't get the whole, we can't have a 4-hour movie, so we're going to take a 4-hour movie, chop it down to 2 and some change. Okay, if it's that long and it needs to be that long, all right, here's part 1. Here's a clean break. Here's part 2. Here's your intermission. Here's part 2. You'll see you in a year.
At the same time, though, I mean, like, Zack Snyder's made a lot of movies, and at some point, that's on him, knowing that
right. I mean,
so it can't all be on Warner Brothers. Part of it's got to be on Zack Snyder. You've made enough movies now that you should be able to do what you need to do in the time that they wanted you to do it.
Yeah. I mean, to plan having a 4-hour movie and an hour of it's on the cutting room floor before it goes to Warner Brothers, knowing that it's got to be 2 hours and some, then they've got to chop up another 45 minutes. and then they don't even put it together cleanly.
And it's not all Zack Snyder's fault because
no, it's not all
Warner
his
Brothers,
fault,
with the first Suicide Squad movie.
Oh God!
I mean, they literally brought in They let David Ayers, I think, who was the original director, they let him make his cut, and then they brought in not like a movie studio. They brought in like a music video company to come in there because everybody liked the trailer so much that they did.
Oh,
and
the movie with the music and
with the Bohemian Rhapsody and all that, and they said you do a cut of the movie, and then ultimately ended up going with that cut instead of what the actual director wanted. So
Warner Brothers. I mean, I know everybody takes shots at Zack Snyder and shit for what he did in Justice League, but he also got removed from the movie.
Well,
or he left
for family reasons.
For family reasons, and then Warner Brothers, instead of going, okay, look, we'll wait till you come back, or we can make do while you're gone. They go, oh, or like, forget you. We're gonna bring this other guy in
that can do this.
We're gonna forget you. Bring your other guy in, and he's just gonna completely rewrite the movie while we're halfway through. While you've done 80% of the movie.
Also, it was ridiculous because Batman v Superman came out, and like a week later, they were filming Justice League, so they didn't even have time to gather their thoughts after how bad Batman v Superman was.
Batman v Superman was not good.
Now the final cut or the extended cut or whatever, where they didn't chop it to hell,
where it flowed better,
was a decent movie. But that's not what we're here talking about today.
Sorry, I'm just saying on DC.
That was my first thought reading is like, why didn't they do this one? It perfectly reverse engineers a universe.
Yeah.
They should have done this. I would love to see this as like a HBO Max series.
Oh, definitely. I think it could really work. You could get a little grittier with it.
Mm-hmm. And everybody loves Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, but sometimes it's nice to focus on who do we focus on? Hal Jordan, Barry Allen, and Martian
Manhunter.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And then Superman, of course, Superman and Wonder Woman were the other key features.
Were in there a little bit. Batman was in there a little bit.
Batman was in it way less than I thought he was going to be. But I guess the biggest thing, also a big character in this was Suicide Squad, Captain.
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag was gigantic.
And
these challengers, I don't know who they are, but
the ones riding around on
like
the black
Ace
ship.
and they have the gold ship. That's part 2, but
they
had that big ass crash after.
Yes, they didn't explain that as much as I thought they would. I mean, they had the crash, and
part 1 was a little choppy. There was a lot of names you had to keep up with quick. But the Challenger seemed like it would just be an awesome
side
adventure comic book. Like I'd be down to read that.
I believe this was copyright 2004.
Yeah, it came out in 2004.
But again, so the best way to describe this would be the Justice League. The comic starts in 1945 on an island that this group called the Losers have to go get Rick Flag and a scientist. They don't explain why, because of course it's a covert death mission.
Yeah.
And in essence, the Losers are one of the first. They're in essence the first Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And they get on the island, they get fucked up, but one of the guys finds Flag. By dinosaurs, which you don't understand until later.
Yeah.
Get Flag, get him off, and then Flag. And all this is happening in 45, but again, it's also jumping back and forth going, during the Cold War, the Justice Society was kicked out, but it didn't quite, it bounced back and forth a little bit too much.
Yeah, the Justice Society after World War II, for some reason, the American government just decided they didn't need superheroes anymore.
Well, it was kind of the whole, what I got from it was kind of like the whole premise of Civil War in Marvel.
Yeah.
Everybody wants them to be accountable. They want them to be registered as vigilantes, which
the only
means
ones that did it were
their identity. Superman, of course, Wonder Woman,
and those were it.
I think they had a few others that helped.
Yeah,
but again, Superman and Wonder Woman had to go round up their fellow teammates.
Yeah,
their friends,
and
the others just went into hiding.
I'm pretty sure it was in part 1, but there was even a point where Superman was so caught up in I have to do the mission, and you find out later that he was trying to change from the inside while everybody else was trying to change from the outside. And Wonder Woman had to shake some sense into him. I understand we're here for America's mission, but these people
These,
needed
yeah,
help.
it
So
was
so
when
I helped them.
she found a Vietnamese group that was tormenting women and children, and she stopped the men
And let
and
the
just
women out.
threw the weapons to the ground and was trying to scare the men off, and the women
Ended up
grabbed the
murdering them.
weapons and murdered the men.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman was fine with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
She
sure
also
had a
grew
little,
them up on the mascara. So.
right. So I mean, the whole women leading thing for her is just next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first little bit's a little choppy.
Yeah. There's a lot of names you got to learn
Yeah.
real fast.
It's a big first volume's a big setup. You
Definitely.
get a good bit of Hal Jordan's backstory in this,
Oh,
which was cool.
The main plot is Hal Jordan's story.
You start out with him as a kid at this bar trying to find Flag,
Yeah.
which apparently
Or was it
Rick?
I think he was looking for Ace.
God, I didn't write it down.
It was one of his dad's friends.
Yeah.
Which you come to find out later that there's about 4 men that were friends with his dad's, and they all like take turns making sure Hal Jordan grows up and stuff like that.
And but what I mean, you get to see him as a kid trying to figure out like what happened to his dad, learning stories about his dad in the Air Force, and then what is the event that screws Hal up? Oh, it's Vietnam. It's when he's in.
Yeah, he's in Vietnam, being a fighter
Korea
pilot.
or Vietnam?
Yeah, it was Korea.
Korea, because he went to Korea and his plane got shot down, but he never shot planes down. He never killed.
No, he always like
set up for the
acted as baits and set everyone else up for kills.
Yeah,
and everybody called him a coward or whatever. Until one day he was forced to kill because apparently the war was over and he was trying to talk to the Korean guy, and Korean guy either didn't know or didn't care.
Probably both.
Yeah, and
I mean, at that time, I mean, you're talking about it's not like today when a mass text goes out or email. All right, everybody, war's over. It
was literally
this group finds out they've got to relay it to this group, to relay it to here and here and here,
and it was literally like 2 minutes after the Americans had got a ceasefire radio call. So
he had to save his life, killed the guy, and it was his first kill, and it fucked him up.
Yeah, fucked him up.
I mean, it was pretty bad. And since then, he was always chasing the high, always chasing what to make himself better, what to make the world better.
And ultimately, he wanted to go to space.
Correct.
Yeah.
But to get there, he ended up finding this girl, Carol Ferris, who apparently runs
Industries.
Yeah, Ferris Industries, which is this big conglomerate of
like
new tech spaceships and fighter pilots, and so he became a test dummy for Rick Flag. Yeah. And I mean a test dummy.
Yeah, he was going... What he didn't realize, he was basically training to go to space.
Yeah. And that's kind of where the volume ends, is him meeting... oh, man, I didn't write the guy's name down. But he meets the head of the group that's going to go to Mars.
Faraday or whatever?
He's the head of Argent.
I think it's Faraday.
Yes, headed by Faraday.
Yeah, Faraday. And who comes to be a bigger player in the second volume. But yeah, this is like a massive setup. If you didn't like this one, still go check out the second. Go check out part 2. It all pays off.
There's a lot of setup, and it's kind of hard to not talk about volume 2. But the biggest thing in this is like you see a lot of Rick Flag. Yeah. You see him kind of becoming creating the first Suicide Squad. Yeah, they're humans. They're not.
Yeah, they're not like they're criminals, but they don't have superpowers.
Right.
Yet.
So they're going in. They took down robots.
Yeah.
They took down a dinosaur.
Anything
a pterodactyl.
Anything that Superman couldn't do, they would do.
Or Superman was just too busy.
Yeah. Or they didn't want Superman knowing about.
Correct. Which again, another backdoor. Because Superman was supposed to be kept out of everything.
Another fun part of this was Martian Manhunter storyline too.
Ooh, that was nice. I enjoyed
basically, there was a scientist who sent out a message to Mars, and he came and answered it, and scared the shit out of him and gave him a heart attack.
Yeah.
And so,
while the guy was dying, the Martian Manhunter was reading the guy's mind.
Yeah.
And the guy, while he was having a heart attack, was just like, I shouldn't have brought you here. I'm so sorry. Because now you're going to be hunted and all this shit. And I'm like, the guy, he gave you a heart attack and you're trying to say sorry.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
But, so he's hanging out on Earth and in Gotham and somehow starts watching like American TV.
Yeah.
And so now he's like this super corny, or he goes and becomes a detective and like camouflages himself as a detective, and basically is just the corniest dude you've ever met.
Yeah, he's saying like 1930s puns, or
Yeah.
for them it's been 1930s puns and
Yeah.
out of date stuff.
Mm.
Um,
But everybody just kind of looks the other way because apparently he gets the job done.
he gets
Probably because he can read people's minds
Well,
and stuff
right.
like that.
And then what I liked also is like the police officers started giving him like the kooky cases.
Yeah.
Like the hey, this guy believes that he saw Martians running around. You go
Yeah.
take care of it. Or like they were trying to make fun of him.
Or
but
in
at the same
volume
time,
1,
the
cult that
yeah,
they found about to
man.
sacrifice a kid.
That got weird.
Yeah.
And again, that was only the one of 5 times
Batman
that we see
shows up.
Batman.
Yeah.
We do get the iconic Batman v Superman quote in there.
Yeah.
That of course Batman does not gonna turn over his identity. That's the whole point
Uh-huh.
of him. And that him and Superman had a fight.
Yeah.
And Batman won with this otherworldly powder. That's what they call it at the time.
Because they didn't know about kryptonite yet.
Yeah. And I thought that was pretty good. Throwing a little that was a nice way to do the Batman v Superman. And it still not take up
a billion
pages.
We all know what it is.
Yeah, we all know what it is. And that was pretty cool.
You also get the Flash in here, and you get
very quickly they gave his origin story. They didn't want to. I mean, it's just and Gotham City there was a lightning strike, and it one man is injured, Barry Allen, soaked in chemicals.
Yeah,
and that was it, and it was good. It was pretty cool how they did these little quick
they had
origin
that whole
stories.
little. And then you also got like slices of the Justice Society, like everybody was at a boxing match for Wildcat.
Yeah, and it was all the old, and he was who's the guy he was fighting? Cassius Clay. It was Cassius Clay. Yeah, and he beat Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool, and I thought there was going to be more Justice Society because I thought they were going to do a full transition.
Well, they addressed that in Volume 2. We'll talk about that because
Yeah.
it was definitely interesting.
But it was cool, and you got to see, and it was always, all right, my friends came to watch me, but they don't want to hang around because they don't want to take away the limelight because we all know who they are now. They just want to be left alone, go into hiding and shit like that.
Yeah, and then but then Captain Cold comes and tries to rob.
Yeah,
because they're all in Vegas, and then Barry runs to Las Vegas, stops them, and all that stuff.
Now I did like, which kind of like we've talked about in the Flash TV show, where Barry has to learn his powers. He's new at this. He goes, okay, I can't break the sound barrier till I'm out of town, or I'll shatter glass, and I have to go save the people.
Yeah.
And that was cool how he, like, during the comic, he's like, look, I need to get there, but I have to be careful.
Yeah.
And
then
then
he's even talking
how
about
he's having to fly. Like, he can't fly, but he uses the speed and ramps. And I enjoyed that.
Vibrates so he can run through like flies and stuff like that.
Yep.
But his story was interesting. Not as prominent as like Hal's and Martian Manhunters, but like he gets to come in at the end, and pick his story back up. But it's hard to. We're getting close to time and we're getting close to already talking about Volume 2.
Yeah, this is kind of what the challenge we'll have with this is just we know what's happening, but y'all hopefully know what's happening as well.
Yeah. Hopefully next time won't be the first weekend of college football when we record.
Yeah.
And we will actually read ahead of time. At least to like the point, my idea when I came into this weekend was, I don't know if he's already read Volume 2, but let's read Volume 1 so we can talk about that. Honestly,
that's probably...
Record that episode and then go reread and then do episode 2. But we spent literally close to 12 hours yesterday watching football, so that wasn't an option.
College game day started at 9 a.m. I didn't go to bed till after 10.
Yeah.
Over 12 hours. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah. It was awesome. But hopefully that's how we'll do it going forward. You have any final thoughts on Volume 1, though? What do you think about art-wise of this whole thing?
That was what got me is it was in 2004, yet you got to kind of get like a 50s, 60s
they had a
feel.
It was like a modern take of how people drew back then.
But
and
you
I
also
honestly
didn't
like
get,
it.
Oh, yeah. But you also didn't get
Oh, you didn't get the
The,
endless
the,
text
the
boxes
70s and
stuff.
80s,
Yeah.
just, oh God, this is 200 pages and I'm reading a novel.
We explain everything in text box.
Yeah.
And completely forget that we're showing pictures of what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed the color because I kind of
Yeah.
like that 50s and 60s style of
Mhm.
duller colors, so they have
Yeah.
to use a lot more. Or
Yeah.
it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
I really did like it.
I liked it a lot too. But we are close to time. Yeah. So you already know what we're reading next week.
Yep.
Part 2, DC New Frontier. And we'll see y'all next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.